Today on the 5-minute book review starring Curtis and Ian, the first 5-minute book review of 2010, we welcome Chuck Klosterman back to his roots with Eating the Dinosaur, his latest collection of pop culture essays. I say this is his return to his roots because his last book was a work of fiction that left his hardcore fans scratching their heads just a little bit. Anyway, Klosterman is back to what brought him to the dance by dissecting moments in pop culture such as the ABBA phenomenon, Garth Brooks' bizarre and brief transformation into Chris Gaines, and so forth. With this book, Klosterman is able to, quote, weave humor and pop culture into genuinely insightful analysis of issues both important and sublime, end quote. Booyah! Coin toss to start, and Curtis is the winner. Today on the 5-minute book review starring Ian and Curtis, we take a look at Chuck Klosterman's new one, Eating the Dinosaur. So excited for Chuck Klosterman to get back to his roots, back to what brought him to the dance, his funny essays. He took a brief hiatus there and wrote that work of fiction, Downtown Owl, and I think it failed. And now that he's back to this, I think he's making us pay for it, to be perfectly honest. This book, really not that accessible to the majority of the people. He's my favorite author. I was so lost and so bored at times during this book. And it's funny because the second thing he writes about, well, the first chapter is excruciating. It's all about interviewing other people. I interview people for a living. I could barely read it. I had to start skimming. It was so boring. But then his second chapter, he's back to talking about music. He's talking about Nirvana and how they made the disc In Utero and how In Utero was supposed to fail to separate Cobain's fake fans from real fans. I kind of think that's what this book is. He's trying to separate his fake fans from his real fans.
That's an interesting point, but I keep thinking that the fiction book Downtown Owl might have been that book. Anybody who could follow him after that. I mean, that book was basically just a series of nonfiction essays on a very loose plot set in 80s Fargo, whereas this is, again, just a series of essays. I know what you mean about it. It's not the most accessible thing. I think what caught me with it is, it's interesting, it's intelligent, it's good to read. It's not funny. I didn't enjoy it. Like, you read Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs. It's funny as hell. Like, it's enjoyable. You like reading it. It's interesting. It's insightful. It's intelligent. This one is like he's trying to almost prove how insightful and intelligent he is. Like, he's trying to make the point that, yeah, I'm a funny guy, but I'm also really smart and I'm deep and I can see all this stuff. And I feel like sometimes he's really stretching it. When he's talking about music, when he's talking about his area of expertise, it's really good. It's bang on. The essays are great. But when he's just sort of pushing out there into sort of the cosmic stuff that he's not usually known for talking, it really does start dragging at that point.
I really feel he sat down after he looked at the sales of Downtown Owl and said, all right, kids, you want some more essays? Is that what you want? Here you go. Because he gets so far into his head at times, it's unreadable, it's unfollowable. I'm not the biggest football fan. There's like 18 pages about football, and it's not even history about football, it's just football. And it's like, skim, skim, what are you doing, Chuck? Again, I think he's trying to separate his fans. He wants to put out a bad book just so he can see if people are just saying what I'm saying. Klosterman's awesome! And he is, Ian.
Well, he is awesome. I mean, I don't know if I'd call this a bad book. It's not bad, it's just definitely not his best work by any stretch of the imagination. I've got this feeling reading some of his books in the past that he just built up a schwack of essays and likes to funnel them out into books every once in a while. This one, there's some more contemporary stuff in, and maybe he just missed the mark on a few of them. I think he just keeps trying to push into areas that are not his realm to work with. Like when he sticks to music and pop culture, he's great.
Great. My favorite part of this book, Ian, was when he was talking to someone about the movie Titanic and how it's so sad. But really, they said the ship had to go down and he had to die because the real tragedy would have been how Jack and Kate would have never worked out, or what Rose, the whole lower class and upper class thing. If they both got off the ship, the relationship would have been killed regardless. It wouldn't have worked. And I was like, I never thought about that. That's brilliant.
Again, but that's the point right there. It's the discussion of the pop culture. That's what he is. There's stuff where he's trying to discuss politics and football and stuff, and it's not the kind of pop culture stuff he's known for. He's known for talking about music, TV, movies. These are the kind of people, you throw in some serial killer essays too, and you got
yourself a home run.
That's a Chuck Klosterman book.
Exactly. I really enjoyed his bit on Chris Gaines / Garth Brooks. That's what he was put on the earth to write about.
That was his alley right there. That's where he lives. That is his comfort zone, is discussing those kind of musical quirks, and that's him.
Eating the Dinosaur, again, I think he tried to put out a book people wouldn't like, but guess what, Chuck? It didn't work. Read it. I liked it.
Read it.